Just when you thought the gun control in New York couldn't get any tougher, Governor Kathy Hochul looked at California and said, "Here, hold my beer." She signed a huge 10-bill package into law on Monday, and even yet, she promised New Yorkers that this impressive feat in ignorance is only the beginning. Keep watching for the ridiculous details. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I wish I had some better news today, but alas, it is a day that ends in Y in the age of the Biden presidency. So here we are with another round of virtue signaling to close critical loopholes that do nothing but put undue hardship on law-abiding Americans. Hochul also chose to sign the bills at a Bronx YMCA as she claimed the gun laws are also part of her plan to address white supremacy and domestic terrorism. So, of course, an inner-city Y provides the best optics. Speaking of optics, this video today is sponsored by Euro-Optic. Euro-Optic is veteran-owned and operated, has all your favorite brands of scopes, rangefinders, and binoculars, and all their sales staff are local hunters, shooters, and outdoorsmen. Their inventory is real-time, constantly updating, they ship everything the same day, and their red shipping provides 1- and 2-day delivery with no extra charge. So they have the stuff, they ship it fast, and it gets there fast. Check them out at eurooptic.com. In 2013, the new SAFE Act was supposed to put an end to crime and violence in New York. Clearly, that isn't working, but we're just gonna try again. The new laws were inspired by the shooting incident in Buffalo, aka the legislature wanted to push them through anyways and were just waiting for the right tragedy to virtue signal.
Just calling it like I see it.
The most significant of these new laws bans anyone under the age of 21 from buying or possessing a semi-auto rifle. The law does this through a new licensing requirement. Since you need to be 21 to get a gun license in New York anyways, and rifles now require gun licenses, boom, automatic age restriction.
You're never too old to ruin things for the young.
New York already requires you to be 21 to own a pistol, so this is just par for the course. The next new law makes it illegal to buy or own body armor unless you're a cop or can prove you need it for some other job that is approved by the State Department. Legislation S9113 is the one that I personally find the scariest, though it's not getting as much airtime at all as the age restriction law. It expands who can file an Extreme Risk Protection Order, or ERPO, to include any doctor or healthcare practitioner that a person has seen in the last 6 months. It also changes the firearm licensing statute so that mental health practitioners' reports on potentially harmful individuals are considered closely when determining whether to issue a firearm license. I'm not sure if this is only in the case of the protection orders or if they're going to be looking at all of a person's records. Seeing as New York has tried to do that before and has tried to include mental health exams in the licensing process, anything is possible. That is treading on some dangerous territory and giving a small group of people way too much power. It also turns police and district attorneys of all people into red flag mandated reporters. It requires them to file ERPO petitions when they have credible information that an individual is at risk of harming themselves or others. This is, again, advertised as a way to stop mass shooters, and of course it's possible that it might catch someone before something happens. But what we're more likely to see is a lot of random Joe citizens caught up in this net, as the flip side is, now if a cop, doctor, therapist, or lawyer comes in contact with someone that does hurt themselves or others, that cop, doctor, therapist, or lawyer is now liable. This kind of thing typically ends up with folks over-reporting. Perfect example, when I worked with a mental health agency in Massachusetts that worked with the school system, we were required to report if a parent even yelled at their children. If kids witnessed a verbal fight between their parents, it had to be an automatic call to Child Protective Services. all because of fear of liability. So now take that example and apply it to gun licensing and red flag laws. Not a good situation. Next, S4116A is a microstamping law that requires the State Department of Justice to decide whether or not microstamping-enabled pistols are even technologically viable, and if they decide that they're viable, to establish policies and procedures around them. So we need a law to decide if something can be a law. Totally makes sense. California, by the way, has had a microstamping bill on the books for quite some time, and spoiler alert, nobody's been able to make a legitimate microstamping pistol yet. So, the end result is Californians don't get any new guns ever. Which, haha, is probably the planned result. But whether they're viable or not, viable, the law makes it illegal to sell a pistol that doesn't microstamp before they've even decided whether or not they can do it. So that's cool. Another 3 laws are aimed at what they call closing loopholes, that is, expanding the definition of firearm to also include things like 80% lowers and pistol braces, gets rid of grandfathered 10-round magazines from before the SAFE Act or 1994, and officially makes it a crime to threaten mass harm. Then we have a law about how information gets reported to criminal gun databases. This is about tracing, actually, and has nothing to do with getting criminal information into the background check system, which is probably the only thing that would be helpful in stopping mass shootings because, how many of these people had been previously investigated? I believe it was most, if not all of them. But that's neither here nor there. Tracing, that's what's important. The law also makes it so people 18 and younger aren't allowed in a gun shop without a parent, changes record-keeping requirements, and requires the state police to inspect FFLs every 3 years. What could go wrong? Finally, we have a set of laws that will require social media companies to create policies around responding to what they call hateful conduct on their platforms and make it easier to report said conduct. It also creates a new task force on social media and violent extremism because New York law enforcement didn't already have a big enough piece of the military-industrial complex pie. I mean, it's not like the New York police already have their own black site for disappearing people or anything. Hochul finished up her gun bill press conference by urging Congress to pass similar laws nationwide. It is only through these bills, she claimed, that children can live to see their high school graduation. Critics argued that the laws would put an undue burden on law-abiding gun owners without really doing anything to stop criminals. One of the Democrats in favor answered back, "It is meant to be a hassle to those folks who might want to get their hands quickly on something with which they could mass murder people." Because as one leftist put it to me on Facebook recently, you don't need a gun for self-defense, you're only afraid of imaginary criminals and mass shooters that these laws are supposed to stop. The NRA released a statement saying the new laws are terrible, awful, and very no good, and pledged to wait and see. New York's law limiting who can get a gun license is already part of a lawsuit before the Supreme Court, and it's expected that some of these other changes will also face legal challenges. But hey, New York wouldn't be New York if they cared about your rights. That is it for today's video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment down below. If you are from New York, please leave. Not the channel, but New York. Leave New York while you still can. If you can. I don't know, they might be holding you guys hostage in there at this point. If you like this video and what I do here and would like to support the channel in other ways besides the algorithm bump, you can check out the description down below for all kinds of support options, including Patreon, Subscribestar, and a handy-dandy tip jar. As always, thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and happy shooting.